Hello Dino. That's a mouthful, you should have used boost.
Thank you very much for pointing that out. I just revealed a major secret and it's lost forever because my microphone was off. And so here it is. Merry Christmas. Everybody's having fun. Look to the future now. It's only just begun. Right. Window, content, no, developer tools, output log. What is this? Lots of red on there. Okay, so how are we? Are we good? I don't know. I'm always, this is not that late. I did a full day's work and then I did a full evening's music and now I'm too sort of jazzed up to go to bed. And so I'm here. Where were we last night? Oh yeah, right. Make it so.
I captain. Hello Dino.
Are you starting up? You did start up? Can I have a look at my blueprint? I can. This is the... What? No! Didn't I save it? All that work I did last night. You're joking. No. Oh, here it is. It's on the... Phew, I thought I'd lost it. Yeah, no, it was because it was in the level blueprint. Okay. Yeah, because I changed the way it works. Alright, that's a relief. So this thing here... Oh, what am I doing? If you... we should do the introduction, shouldn't we? What I'm doing is... It's saved on my stream. That is one of the advantages of this, is that in cases of emergency, there's a record. So if you look in the center of the screen, you can see some text, and the text is describing the particular tasks that I am working on, separated by dots. It's kind of a nesting. The actual main goal is to continue development on the Phi programming language, which I will do in the Phi programming channel, Phi program language channel, when I start doing that. And but I want to have this thing I'm working on now in order to work on that project, which I'm calling Nugget Window, where Nugget is a software architecture. It's an architectural framework, I should say, a way of making stuff. And in this Nugget window is basically a graphics terminal that any application can draw using, but it's not your typical graphics library. It's a kind of graphics library, but you connect to it over the network. So this means that any application out there can suddenly have graphics without needing to, actually hook up with some library like SDL or some game engine like Unity or Unreal. In fact, I will be using a viewer, a Nugget window, created in Unreal in the Phi programming language, but the Phi project won't need to know anything about Unreal. This is very much in the Nugget philosophy. In order to do that in Unreal, I need to learn Unreal. I only started using Unreal properly a few weeks ago. So that's why we have UE4 and then learning. And what I'm learning is also stuff that helps me build a Nugget window. The last one that we did was spawning and manipulating actors, and that one is actually done. That one's completed, so we move on to the next task, because I successfully managed to do that, to achieve that. Move on to the next task, which is to basic Nugget window API. So I'm actually now working on the API of the Nugget window using the stuff that I built up over this last week. And that involves, and I'm doing it all in blueprints because I also want to learn about blueprints and how it works together with C++ to make custom, all of these I've made: socket listen, socket wait connection, socket accept, socket wait for strings, socket get receive string. This is just implementing all stuff in sockets, network sockets, entirely in blueprints, because these components are written in C++. What this actually does is this sets up a socket to listen on, waits for a connection to come in, accepts the connection, and then waits for strings to come through. I've been able to create latent actions. That's what these are. This latent action is interesting because it just fires off this guy here for every string that is received. So this gets called repeatedly. So it's almost like an event, but it's actually a latent action. And when a string is available, it fetches the string. It then parses the string into an array separated by spaces. It also sets this counter to 0 and goes to the switch where the first parameter that has been passed in from the array, right? It'll be the first because the count is 0. Operates a switch. There are two commands, therefore, that are recognizable at the moment: make and pos. What make does is it saves the argument following it. In fact, so does pos. So it's the form of there's a command and an argument that follows. So make is followed by an argument, and it gets that argument from the current value of count plus 1. And stores it in a variable, and then we add 2 to the count, check to see if we've reached the end of the array. If not, it comes back. So we've got a loop in here, and it'll loop through all the arguments, currently putting the position in a variable called position. Get extra marks if you know what that's a reference to when I go position. It wasn't position, it was a word that sounds like position, but and it's a film. There are your clues. And then on here we have so we put what we're making, which at the moment we can make a cube and put that in one variable, or the position we put into another variable, as I said. When we finished processing the arguments, that's parsing the string that came across the network, it switches on the whatever we're making, currently only accepting cube. And so it runs down here and it spawns the cube. And when it spawns the cube, it spawns it with a transform. The transform has been made here with default rotation and scale, but with a location that was a vector, which was made here. This vector comes from 3 elements of an array that was created by parse into array from the position variable. So if you yes. So that's it, see. So basically what happens is I can go over here, and this is a command terminal, and in command terminal I can I can do, I was laughing because that was the thing I was doing last night. Alright, so on the stream. So this NC thing here, this is making a connection. This is Netcat's command line tool that allows you to make connections from the command line. It's really useful for this kind of stuff. And now anything I type in here will be received as strings and processed by this. Actually, you know what I want to do? It's, I'm just going to restart it because I realise if I'm there, you won't be able to see what's going on. Are we good like that? I think so. Let me stop. Hit play. We'll switch back to this. Okay, so, and in here, and I can type make cube. So it will make a cube and specify the position. Say, I'm going to keep it simple, 0, 0, 0. So this will make a cube that is positioned at 0, 0, 0. And when I hit enter, there appears the cube. You can see the cube appeared. It is great. And obviously I can make more than one, and so where I left it off last night was when this is previously Unreal. So in here I've got a file called test. If I cat test, you'll see what it contains. It contains make a cube at position 0, 0, 200, make a cube at position 200, 0, 200, make a cube at position 200, 200. So great thing is I can just do this command and take the text directly from that file, and this creates a bunch of cubes in the scene. It's a command line scene graph. Has this ever been seen before? Yeah, I don't care if it's a lame joke. It's my joke. Oh. Ah, right. I'm having trouble controlling the camera here. It's part because I'm used to Unity, which is subtly different. Okay, so let's try that again. I hit play, and then I can go here and just rerun this, and boom. And this is where we're at. So what I want to add are some more things, like being able to specify rotations and stuff like that. But before I do, something I just didn't realize until, where is that? Where does it start? It starts here. Okay. Something I didn't realize is I was on a previous stream trying to figure out how to make things branch. In the sense of within a scene graph. So this scene graph execution starts when we do begin play, right? But I wanted to branch the execution so that there are two executing bits of code at the same time. And then I went as far as making a custom latent action in order to achieve this. I was able to achieve it, but what I didn't realize, but there was some niggles with it. What I did was I made one that branched two branches. So one branch would actually start executing the next frame, and then use the second output, to continue executing here in the graph, in the main graph. So then I could use that to spawn a number of these things that would, be firing out, would be, what's the word? Oh, yeah, I'm wrong. I do have to make a modification. Okay, but anyway, I'll come to this in a minute. Right, yeah, because you can't... I thought we could do it with delay, but... No, we can. I can show you the branching with just the standard, without making any sort of custom actions. So what am I blathering on about? You see, what I wanted to do... well, the first thing, if you're not familiar with, you can create this thing called you can use this thing called a delay, and if the delay is of duration 0, right, then it's actually a delay of 1 frame. So what I wanted, but the funny thing is that what gets executed 1 frame later is another sort of strand of execution. So you've got this one that will start 1 frame later, but you had this one here, and I really wanted to make it split. And I was going, oh, how can you do it? Well, it turns out you can do it, and I just didn't realize this. What you do is use a sequence. Now, I did know about sequences, but if you do this, I assumed, and of course I realize now that that was completely wrong. They couldn't actually be built that way, come to think of it. But what I kind of assumed was that this sequence, you see, it executes anything on then 0 here, until this finishes executing, and then it switches to the next one. And so you can have like a list of things to execute one after the other. So in my mind, it was like, this sequence will not get to here, because it has to finish the execution that, has occurred at this side of the delay. Well, of course, this is actually nonsense. What actually happens, because I was trying to find a way of continuing to execute on this side after making the delay, but this doesn't have like an output to connect this to something else. So then it would be, continue the execution. We'll do something after we set up the delay, and then 1 frame later you in effect got almost like a new thread. It's not really, but you could think of it like a thread that starts executing here. Turns out all you need to do is just have a sequence, because this one gets executed immediately that the execution stops on this one, and the execution stops on this one inside this delay. So what does all this mean? It means that we can do the following. I go and do, say, a print here, and here we'll have hello, and on the other side of this, we'll print world. Right? Now, when I run this, all being well, what's happened to the log? There it is. You can see it's printed hello and then world, and there's a gap between the two because the world appears 1 frame later. Log, blueprint, user, messages. There we go. I'm just filtering out all the other crap. So hello world. So you can see that this has actually created multiple strands of execution. There's one limitation, which is this will, this one will start 1 frame later. But you can then, well, I made a thing. Actually, yes, I can show you it because, I've got it. So, made it already. So, the thing I made was, what was it called? I have to look it up because I can't remember now. Blueprint function library. What did I call it? Pretty sure I made it. Wait socket connection, wait for string. There's this twice delay. Bear with me a moment. Okay, yeah, I haven't actually wrapped it up properly at this point. So what I can do is the thing I made was this twice delay thing. But it's good enough to show the principle because I made this thing work so that it never quits. So then I can show you what's going on here, I hope. Does this run or am I going to get an error? Oh, it ran. Okay, cool. I was worried about getting an error from that. So just delete that. So if I go to here and I do a print string, I'm printing hello. Well, world should be this one. This looks... Complete exec is irrelevant. Well, actually, it's not. Half exec is irrelevant. Okay. What this will do is, after a delay of 0, which is 1 frame, it will execute this. But I turned off the thing that causes this to terminate, so it will keep doing this every frame. And so now what you've got is that you can effectively create a bunch of threads. If I run this, what we should see is say hello and then world. And that's exactly what happened. I scroll up, confirm it. There's the hello. First one was the hello, and then it follows it by world. So now I can copy this and put this in. I can create 2 of them. So what you've got is pseudo threading in an event graph directly. And this thing, very easy to make. It's not very many lines of code to make this, and I will tidy this up later. Yeah, I can go here and print string. Now we've got hello world, and when I run this, oh, it's because I took the wrong one. There we go. Let's do that instead. Right. So when I do that, as you can see here, it's printing hello world, hello world, hello world. Yeah, take care, Mike. Thanks for tuning in. This is not going to be a long one anyway, but you've got this hello world, hello. So what I've done is I've actually created 2 threads. So just to be clear, these 2 bits here are executing once a frame. And so I've successfully split 1 strand of execution, whatever you call it, into 2. I wanted to show that because that's actually pretty cool. And they all get set up immediately. There's no delay. It goes here and sets up this one, which is like a re-triggerable timer in effect, but it just immediately executes. There is a timer available for blueprints, but it's not as easy to use as this. Then So it sets this up, and then it's terminated this execution, but then the sequence picks that up and continues with the next one, and you can have a whole bunch of them. So there you go. Hope that made some kind of sense. I find that quite exciting, because what it means is that you can actually put complex behaviors with multiple threads. Like I could have complex state machines in here. Presumably I could use behavior trees as well. I've not really looked at those in Unreal. But it means that you can have multiple state machines or multiple behavior trees. You could have them, multiples of those running in the same graph that are effectively as different threads, and you can branch these off any. So you can branch a thread, whatever you want to. I don't know what to call this. That's why I'm an R a lot. I'm not sure what to call it. It's kind of like soft thread. A latent thread, because it relies on latent actions. So what you can do is have a latent thread spawn another latent thread, and so you could basically create code in one place to operate multiple things without having to sort of have lots of nested functions and dependencies and links and whatever. I'm looking at that and going, really cool. We'll see if I'm right. Sorry, it's a bit difficult to describe. Anyway, back to business. So if I just repair that, or put that back the way it was, and then I come here and then I run my test and I have my cubes. And what I'll do now is build the functionality up. So it would be good to be able to specify some kind of rotation by position. So I'm just going to set position. No, I don't want to set position. You can't change the name of the variable you're going to set. I find that rather aggravating. We'll need to make a new variable, and this is going to be called rotation. I know, here's the thing, you know, with rotation, you look here, you can see rotation of this transform is specified as XYZ, but one of the things I find quite aggravating is that the most useful or the easiest way to represent a rotation is as an angle and an axis. So I might want to make, I want to be able to specify on the command line on my thing here, to be able to specify the rotation as an angle and an angle and an axis, because that is so much easier to deal with mentally than combining three rotations, three Euler angle rotations. I mean, if I say to you, right, the angle's going to be 30 degrees around the x-axis, 20 degrees around the y-axis, and 90 degrees around the z-axis, good luck to you trying to visualize that. But if I say I'm going to rotate 20 degrees around the axis, the axis that is along the vector, or let's just say 0, 0, 1. That will be an upwards vector, because in Unreal Z is upwards. So I could then just say I want to rotate 10 degrees around the axis. You specify an axis and how much to rotate it by. The funny thing is that specifying rotations like that is effectively what quaternions do. But you never see user interfaces that do that. That's kind of interesting. Why? So that could be interesting, because if I am going to specify a rotation by an angle axis, I'm going to have to convert an angle and axis to Euler angles. We'll see. But this rotation is going to be a string, and so we take this because I'm caching the received. We've got it now. Thank you. No, that's not what I wanted to do. A set. I'm caching the string definition, the actual text, and then I parse the text later. So what I'll need to do is have this go into here. I'm going to add a pin. The pin, I need to set the case for this. If I click on that, I can get the cases. We've got pin 2. You have to go in here to edit them. It's annoying as well. But we'll make this command is called rot. And there we are. And so when we have a rotation command, it'll come through to here. And I need to then attach that to here. So it goes around in the loop. And now to get my thing, I need to get the rotation into this. So what does this take? Oh, it takes a rotator. So in fact, actually, it displays it as this. But in fact, it probably is a quaternion underneath, therefore effectively an angle and axis. Oh, fair enough. So I need to find something here to do what? I need to make a rotation from an angle axis. Rotator. Make rotator from, make rot from build a reference frame from 3 axes. Oh, come on. Is there no way of making... Make rotator. Oh, here it goes. Rotator from axis and angle. It does exist. Look at that. So I need 4 numbers. Actually, this makes it easier than if I was using Euler angles. And so when we do this, I need to... Well, this is a vector, right? So I guess I need to make a vector. And to make the vector, I need to take my rotation, which is here, get rotation. This is going to go to parse into array. And we put a comma in there, the delimiter, to separate the different numbers. The return value that we get, I need to do a get on with an index. The index needs to be 0 in this case. The first number is the x axis. No. I'm I'm going to specify the angle first. So that's going to be argument 1. And then we have to do this again. This time we're going to do get a reference and that's going to go to there. And this is going to be number 2. How's that? Is that good? And then we need to get number 3. And this one goes to there. Change this number to 3. Hook up that. Why won't it let me hook it up? Because this was an array of floats. That's not good. Let me try copy pasting this then. This is number 3. We connect that to the Z. Why does it do that? It did it again. Oh, look at that. Because then it picked the type out when I tried to put this to a float. I have to do this one first. It's not compatible with it. Oh, it's changed the type of. Try this again. Now I have to do it that way around, then it works. Okay. So now I have X, Y, and Z, and but I also need the angle. And this is going to be number 0, and this goes into the angle. And so this pretty mess here should construct an angle, a rotator from an angle and axis. And so now I should be able to ask it to specify the rotation of the cube that I create. So let's just try that over here. I need to give the command make cube position 0, 0, 200 rotation say 45 degrees on the axis 0, 0, 1. Should be a 45-degree twist like this. So that did not work. So now I need to figure out why. And creating this rotation. Why? It's possible that it didn't actually take it. I don't know. Let's try it again. I just sort of compiled. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be rotating the cube. It's possible that's because when I do this from the angle may be in radians. Probably is. No, it's in degrees. What am I talking about? Oh. It's more complicated than that. I'm assuming it's degrees. It could be radians. Now, it might be that 45 radians just happens to be almost the same, or 90 degrees multiple. Make cube position rot 1 radian is about 60 degrees. So no, it still doesn't So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to debug this. And I think I'll start by putting a breakpoint. I can put a breakpoint here on spawn cube. I'm going to hit play. Go back to here. Run my command. It hits this, but now I should have access to all this data. We can see the rotation is 0, 0, 0, so it did not successfully create the rotation. The angle is 0. Well, the rotation vector is 1, 0, 0, 1. The string output by ref, what is it though? Current value 0, 0, 0. Yeah, it's interesting. That's because maybe this is the wrong number. This should be index 3. I don't know if that's significant, probably isn't. The delimiter is a comma. I've got commas in there, so looks like the problem. Let me, just to make this a bit easier, I'm going to cat my command into, no, that's not the right way to do this, cat into test2, my command, Control D to exit that, and then I can just do this test2, and now I've got a one liner to trigger this. The breakpoint has arrived. The source string coming into parse array is 1001. The output doesn't tell me, does it? Everything is 0. So the string 1001. And this is the same thing I did up here, and that worked. Oh, that's very troubling. It actually says 000. If I yeah, so the problem was it actually needs to execute this for it to populate all of this, I think. No. So this is one of it's funny because Blueprint sort of simulates real world programming but in graph form, but they seem to have managed to also, you know, make that so realistic that you get the equivalent of other kinds of problems that you get with real debuggers, you know. This particular one is it's lying. And that's one of the things I hate about debuggers, is that they almost invariably end up lying to you. So this is lying. It's like it's all ready to pull this in. Maybe what I need to do is on the out of spawn cube, I put anything like a print. Because it was saying there was 0, but they weren't. Let me okay, we go back to this. Right, it got here, so we're now still in this graph, but we got through spawn cube. I can see that there's some data in here now. Let's take a look at location. Yes, look at that. Now I can read the data in that thing. That's crazy. And so I see this is 0, this is 0, this is 200, so it's not lying to me anymore. Believe it. Alright, so that one is correct. This angle, it does say 1. What did I send it? I sent it 1. Alright, so let's try 45. $45,001. Oh, alright, where'd you go? What? I think I did Control D by mistake and it quit. Come back here. CD. Unreal. And that's where we go with that. Right, and I can run this command from here, hit play, run the command. There we are. The angle is 45 degrees. The axis is 0, 0, 1. That looks correct. The rotation, pitch 0, yaw 45 degrees. That's correct. It should turn the cube 45 degrees. Spawn cube. And yeah, that's it. It creates the child component is using the relative transform. So there isn't anything wrong with my code. Problem is something else. Spawn cube. Can somebody tell me why it's suddenly working when it didn't work before? Maybe I never put the test case of 45 degrees. I don't know. It seems to be working now. It always makes me a little nervous because it went wrong and I don't understand why, and it could go wrong again. Let's try it without that print. So that's the last thing I did. Okay, whatever. It's probably just a late night brain thingy. Okay, so now I can specify. Do I have Emacs in here? No. How about sig start dot, and in Visual Studio I could take that test 2. I can edit it in here. This makes a cube. And let's make another cube. And we'll make this one rotate 30 degrees and this one 60 degrees. And we'll also do 0 degrees. Save that. Let's go back to here. We hit stop. We hit play. And there you can get a nice weird shape here. Which is actually made from 3 cubes all spun by 30 degrees. From my command list. I could also I could position these at different heights. So we could go 100, 200 and 300. Let's save that. Why is it? I can't overwrite it while that is running. Okay, save it, save. Let's rerun it. There we go. Now we'll send the commands. And now they're kind of like on top of each other. So we've implemented being able to specify rotation. The next thing, we could have scale. Why not? I'll scale. Can add a pin. Call it scale. I need to create a new variable. It's called scale. You take your scale, you drag it here, we get the scale, set the scale. Have to pull this over, set the scale, connect this up, and it continues with the loop back to there. So when we set the scale variable, that by itself doesn't do anything yet. What we will have is the oh right, yeah, that's yeah. So what I have to do is follow this pattern and take the scale, get scale. Well, I suppose I can copy paste this. You can go from there to the source string. No, there to the source string. Delimiter is a comma. Same thing as before. Return values need to be split up. They're split up into 3 things. Suppose I can do it here. So we'll go to that and do get a ref. We need to make 3 of these. 2, 3. And then the get. The output needs to go to maker vector, which is the vector for scale. Like so. And the return value is a scale which this has to go all the way up to here. La 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 la. And now I have implemented a scale facility fairly quickly. We save this. We're running that. Let's make the topmost cube have a different scale. Scale of 1, 2, 3. Save that. Go here. I run my command. And that was unexpected. Just produced one thing. I'm going to get rid of the scale. And see if the behavior reverts back to how it was before, which it should. Seems to have another bug. So, let me clear. How do I clear the log? Anyway, I had to clear on play. Then go. Not printing anything yet. Let's go back to here and run the command. I did actually create 3 cubes. I see them hit, but I don't see them in the scene. That's weirdness, isn't it? There they are. Errors warnings reported. Show message log. Oh, there was an error, that's why. Runtime error. Attempted to access index 0 from an array. Be that of length 0. So how do I find out what played? How do I find out where the error cat was? Come on, is it not going to tell me? I mean, seriously. There's no way of knowing. Graph doesn't show you where the error occurred. How weird. So what do I have to do? Do I have to go class array blueprint function spawn cube? Maybe I'll click on the this that. Oh, it just takes you to the graph. That is so lame. How are you supposed to debug that then? I have to single step it. But that's not going to tell me anything. Much. Right, let's set a break point here. Stop. Let's play. And so it got to there without any problems. And then I used to hit F10 and then really? Oh. Let's have a look at the okay. If I resume, resume. That time it didn't generate any errors. Oh, it did generate the errors, but I didn't see them because I clicked on this thing over here. Oh, that is really annoying. I have to redo that test then. That would be really nice if it showed you where an error was generated. But on here, we're going to step. Oh, I don't believe it. Are you serious? First one worked. Resume. Oh, hang on. Okay. Weird. It looks like the error occurs somewhere in the parsing of the... When I start a new line. Well, this happens for every line. This happens for every line. So the counter gets reset to 0 for every line. Some array has 0 length. Then I think I need to put a breakpoint here. Stop, play, go back. Get socket, get receive string. Step. We set the counter to 0. It actually happened here. Oh, because... Oh, look at that. It's actually, yeah, it's because this this error was generated by the code that was executed when this was required, which goes back to here, into here when this was required, meaning there was some dependencies with, you know, other stuff. It's probably the last thing I implemented was the scale, and the scale doesn't have any value. because I didn't specify scale for everything. No, scale's not specified at all. So that's the problem. What if I don't have... Yeah, what if one of these hasn't been specified? Then it needs to be the default, and that's the problem. I set up a rotation without putting in a default value. I'm missing default values. That is the diagnosis. So it's going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for the default rotation, and scale is going to be 1, 1, 1. Save that, hit play on here, boom, get rid of my breakpoints, resume, get rid of the breakpoint, resume, and so right, we're back to it functioning again. Now I'm going to try and make the top one a different shape. One, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Boom. No, that doesn't work because I'm running this. Let's get rid of that. Make that. To come back here. Stop. Hit play. We go back to this and boom. In fact, appears to have made them all bigger. See if that's... But that is correct because I didn't specify scales here. So if you don't specify a scale, it uses the last scale. It's the way the API works right now. So we can just reset the others back to 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. From a break. Save this. Stop. Play. Need to really automate some of this. Right. Test 2. Boom. The only thing that's slightly puzzling me is which one. Oh, it's the bottom one that was scaled up, not the top one. So that actually makes sense. So I'm now able to create a cube with any orientation and put it anywhere in the scene by supplying the command over the network. What other functionality do I require? I need to make it so that I can break the connection and restart the connection. So save this. Wait connection request. What happens if the socket is broken? And this I have to look in the C++ stuff for that. Kind of zoned out there for a minute. So some point, if the connection is lost, yeah, that's the only thing. I haven't got any checking for that. I'm going to have to build some code in there for handling the case where the connection breaks or I disconnect. I'm not going to do that now. It's late. So there you go. Short stream tonight because I started late. But you know, in about an hour, I've added some significant functionality to the thing. Good. I'll call it. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.